Hello everyone and welcome back. In this lecture we'll learn about concatenating series and data frames together. Series and data frames. So we can concatenate series and data frames, and in this case our series object will be transformed into a data frame. Let's look at an example. Let's use panda series method to create a series. So pd dot series, and then let's pass a list. Let's say S0, S1, S2 and S3, and S3. Let's name our series object as S, and we'll save this in a variable called ss1. So if we call our ss1 series object, we have our index and then values. Name of our series object is S. In our previous lecture we have created a data frame data frame 1. So what we'll do next is concatenate the series object to our data frame 1 object. Let's do that. So pd dot concat, and we simply pass our data frame 1, data frame 1, and then the series object we just created, ss1. And let's concatenate this along axis is equal to 1. Let's run it. Okay, now that you see our series has been transformed into a data frame. ABCD is from our data frame 1, and then this S column is from our series object here. So that's how we can concatenate series and data frames together. And if we don't name our series object, we'll have a series object name added as an index starting with 0 and then 1, 2, 3 and so on. Let's look at another example. Let's create another series object, and we'll save it in a variable called ss2. So pd dot series, and then we'll pass a list. Let's say K0, K1, K2, and K3. So if I call my series object 2, we have the index and values for our series. Now let's concatenate our series object to our data frame. So pd dot concat, and there let's pass our data frame 1 object, and let's concatenate it to our series 1 object that we created earlier, and then our series 2 object that we just created. Let's see the result. So here we have 0 ABCD. Okay. Let's concatenate it along the y-axis. So our pass axis is equal to 1. Let's run it again. So here we have ABCD from our first data frame S, which is our first series object, and then we have a column 0, that's our second series object that we created, since we didn't name it, it adds the index 0. It adds 0 as the column name for that specific column, which is our second series that we created. And if we add some more, let's say SS2, if we concatenate SS2 again, the next column will be 1, since it doesn't have any column name, since our series doesn't have any name. So the next column will be numbered 1. Let's run this again. So here you see 0 and 1. And similar to what we saw before, we can pass the ignore index argument. If this column names don't have any meaning to us, we can pass the ignore index argument, so that it will be, the column names will be continuous. So it will start with 0 and then 1, 2, 3 and so on. Let me show you an example. So pd.concat data frame 1 and just 3 series objects along axis is equal to 1, and then let's pass the ignore index argument and we'll set it to be true. So if we run it now we have our column names starting with 0 all the way to 6. That's how we can use this ignore index if the column names don't have any meaning to us. Okay. To summarize, we saw how we can concatenate series and data frames together, and if our series object doesn't have any name, the column name for that series, once it's concatenated, will be 0. And if we have additional series objects, it will keep adding a number for our column name. So it will start with 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we saw that by passing the ignore underscore index argument, we can make the column names continuous. Thank you everyone, and I'll see you at the next lecture.